Oh, we're all here. How's that? Okay, let me pause this. I'm sorry, Brother Lewis. Okay, I think I put your proper name on there. Hold on. Hey, can you get off for me, Miss Mintz? There we go. Okay, there it is. All right. So I'm gonna set the screen to where you are the head here.
Hello, everybody. Just bear with us one more minute. We're just trying to get situated here.
Solid. You're all set and you're ready to go.
Okay. And first of all, I want to say welcome back to everyone who's here with us. Right now, we're trying something for the first time. We're live streaming on two platforms, actually, on YouTube as well as on um, TikTok. And we hope that there are no issues or no complications at all. And we hope that everybody can hear us loud and clear. If there are any problems, by all means, just put up a comment and let us hear from you. Let me make sure that everything is going okay on this end. Okay. So, uh, just to make sure, we are also streaming on YouTube. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct. You're live right now on YouTube. You're actually live on TikTok, and you're also live on Facebook as well.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, once again, everybody, we welcome you back to the channel. And we're glad that you could be here with us. As you can see, we're, like I said, trying something out for the first time. Hopefully, we're able to reach a few more individuals so that they can see what it is that we're doing and so that they can um, catch up or stay up to par. So, last night, what we were doing was going through basic motions and orders. And it's really a flow of motions where something is put onto the floor in order to move the meeting to go a certain way. So tonight, I want to actually pick up where we left off last night. And I'm going to go right through the various motions and orders. Last night, we had covered one, main motions, and then we talked about two, how to second and what a second actually does. Three, how to amend a motion. Four, we discussed friendly amendments. We then talked about how to table a motion. Okay. Um, we also talked about how to take a motion from the table or a topic or a subject from the table. And then 7, how to postpone until a certain time, and how to actually refer a topic to a committee while inside the meeting. We also talked about how to call the question. So whenever conversation is going on, discussion, debate, and time is being consumed, quite a bit of time, an individual can rise to call the question, and that is to simply put the vote on the floor. We then talked about the point of order and what that is and when to use it. And we talked about number 11, how to appeal the decision of the chair. Then we covered the point of information. The point of information. And then we talked about parliamentary inquiry, what this is and when to use it. And lastly, on yesterday evening, we discussed division of the assembly. And we left off with how to suspend the rules. And this is what we're going to pick up on tonight. So suspending the rules, suspending the rules, the purpose of suspending the rules. I move to suspend the rules, and we're going to give you an example, but the purpose of this is to temporarily ignore for the assembly, for the meeting, to temporarily ignore the standard rules that we normally use for our meetings. And the purpose of that is in order to ensure that you can do something that might need to navigate the rules, especially if there comes a sensitive topic or situation where it seems that the rules itself is an issue. Either way, it allows to temporarily ignore the normal rules. The wording is, I move to suspend the rules, and then whatever it is your motion is that you want to discuss and talk about from there. Example, I move to suspend the rules and allow the debate to continue past the normal time limits that we've given for debates, right? So you move to suspend the rules, and the vote that's needed is not a majority. You actually need 2/3 of the votes in order for that to be approved. It cannot suspend bylaws. To suspend the rules, you cannot suspend bylaws. It cannot suspend laws, and to suspend the rules cannot suspend basic rights of the members of the assembly. Remember, each delegate of the assembly, you are in a situation where everyone is on equal ground. No one is above anyone. No one is anyone's superior. Everyone has the same amount of power and pretty much equal voice inside of that meeting, every single one. Remember, we said last night that the individuals that are normally serving in other capacities within the religious side of the organization, that's not what they are here. In this meeting, you leave those hats at the door. The next is recess. How to recess. And the purpose of calling for a recess is to initiate a short break in the meeting, to allow individuals to take a break and go out for a certain amount of time, and then, of course, come back to resume. The wording is, I move to recess for 20 minutes. And from there, provided I get a second. Once you get a second, and again, you go through the same motions. The vote that's needed is a majority, not 2/3, just a majority. And the next thing is how to adjourn. And the purpose of an adjournment is to actually end the meeting. The wording is, I move to adjourn, provided I get a second. I second, it goes onto the floor. The vote that's needed is a majority. If it's one more person than those who are not in favor, then it goes through, provided I have a second. The next thing, number 18, is to rescind. Rescind. What is the purpose of rescinding? Rescinding. This cancels a previous action in the meeting. So I move to rescind the motion previously adopted regarding the times that we are to hold rehearsals. I want to rescind it. I want to cancel it, right? If it has been voted on and approved, then to rescind it is to actually cancel it, provided that I get a second. What this does is it is done to undo earlier decisions that's been made by the body. Something that's been placed into effect. To rescind it is to remove it, and it's no longer going to be in effect. Is there a vote needed for something to be rescinded? Usually, this is done with a majority, with notice, or 2/3 of the assembly without a notice. Without a notice. Another thing is to reconsider. The purpose of a reconsideration is to reopen a vote that was already taken. I move to reconsider the vote on debate times. The previous vote on debate times allowed for 15 minutes. I move that we reconsider the vote on debate times so that we can extend it, since we see that the debates are not allowing enough time for everyone to speak. I move to reconsider the vote on. This is important. Usually only someone on the winning side can make this motion. So during a debate, if you're actually losing and you don't have enough support to back you in a debate, you cannot, well, you can, but normally it's not going to go through. I move that we reconsider the vote on blah, blah, blah. Well, it's because you're losing. And so typically you're not going to get a reconsideration. But if you're winning the debate and it looks like you have support and you're getting what it is that you want, to reconsider a vote means, okay, well, not only are we moving in the direction that I want, but I would like to reconsider something else so that we can discuss that and perhaps get that back on the table and change the vote entirely. The next movement or objection order is object to consideration. Object to consideration stops a discussion before it begins. I move to reconsider the vote on debate times, since we've seen that 15 minutes is not enough. I object to consideration to prevent that discussion before it starts. Any other motion to prevent that discussion? The wording, once again, I object to consideration of that, whatever it is that was put out. What it does is it kills a motion before the debate. And does it need a vote? Yes, it needs 2/3 of the members to approve it before it is carried through, and you don't debate on that motion that they were objecting to. So the next thing is withdrawing a motion. Withdrawing a motion. The purpose of withdrawing a motion is it removes your own motion. Object to consideration of that. But no, this is going to withdraw my motion. Withdraw motion. I move to withdraw motion. Again, these things allow the placement of something. These things allow the movement of something. These things allow the amending of something, to edit a motion, so on and so forth. And to learn what they are is one thing. To learn how to use these things is another. Okay. Excuse me. The wording is I request permission to withdraw my motion. You see it going a certain way, you can actually request to remove it. After the debate starts on that motion, the group's permission is needed to move that motion. Once something is set in motion and is going forward, and a debate has began, and people are now obviously invested in that motion, if you move to withdraw your motion, now you need the body to vote on that. And once again, it's just majority. Once you have one person more than the opposition. The next one is executive session. Executive session. The purpose of executive session, it moves a meeting into confidential discussion. So if there's something sensitive, you don't just avoid it altogether. Well, we're not going to talk about that. What you do is you move to enter executive session, where the subject on the table is now going to be moved into a meeting that's going to be confidential, so that this information is not going out and broadcast to everyone. Again, this is under extenuating circumstances. This is used for personal issues, legal matters, disciplinary actions, right? If individuals are unruly and acting out of order, then something can be done about that. And it can be done openly, or it can be done in executive session. Or confidential finances. Some companies do not allow for everyone to hear certain things regarding and pertaining to the finances. So that's another topic that usually can have executive session. Nominations. We should be aware of nominations. The purpose here for nominations is to suggest a candidate for office, right? The purpose for nominations is to suggest a candidate for an office. And we know this already. We do this pretty regularly. I nominate 1, 2, 3 for the position of treasurer. Right? Simple. Closing nominations. The purpose is to stop accepting names for a certain position or nomination. I move to close the floor for nominations. I move to close nominations. That vote needs to be 2/3 of the assembly. Next is unanimous consent. Unanimous consent. The chair says, if there is no obligation, if there is no objection, then the minutes are approved. This is interesting for us because we are not accustomed to approving our minutes. So once you hear coming from the assembly secretary, all those in favor of waiving the reading of the previous minutes, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. If you don't hear anything, then you may hear them say, there's no objection. The minutes are approved as they stand. This is a problem, again, because the people really need to understand what's in the minutes in order to know what it is that was discussed in the last meetings, because some of that information or some of those subjects perhaps needs to come up in this meeting. So again, the chair says if there's no objection, and if somebody objects, then a formal vote is required. I object to whatever that objection is. Then the meeting and the assembly, they must actually vote in favor of the person that's objecting. Okay, to give them what it is that they want. This is how a simple meeting flows. This is how it should go. A very, very simple meeting. The chair opens the meeting. The agenda of that meeting is approved by the chair. So the chair opens the meeting by saying, the meeting will come to order. Now, timestamp. The agenda. I move to approve the agenda. Minutes approved. I move to approve the minutes. Now, all of these are provided that there's a second, that there's discussion, and then it goes to a vote, and it carries over. Next, reports are given. Reports coming from treasurer, reports coming from the committees, all of the committees, oversight committee, expense committee, rally for anniversary committee, whatever the different committees are, you're going to get a report at this time from all the committees. And the reports given from all the officers. This is where the CEO would give his report to the assembly as well. And remember, we covered this. This would be the state of the organization coming from the CEO. What is the organization's current state right now? If you were to take a snapshot of the organization right now, what does it look like? That's what that report is. Next, in the order of a meeting, right, on our little teeny tiny piece of paper that we get in the organization normally is just this one sheet, and it has a space that says order of business. Meeting call to order, roll call, reading of the minutes, which are waived, and voting for a General Assembly secretary, and then adjournment. It's over. So nothing's getting done. This is how the meeting flows. Okay. This is how it flows. Next would be, after the reports, the committee reports, old business. Old business. And this is previously unfinished items. Anything that's still tabled from the last meeting that had not been taken care of, that would be old business coming forward. Each topic one at a time, right? Old business. After old business is completed, of course, then you're going to take care of new business. New business. And we've done all of this in the meetings that we've had throughout the organization for years, right? Old business first, new business next. New motions. This is where new motions are introduced to move the assembly in this direction, or wherever, whatever you like to discuss new, it comes up at this time. Then debate. Members discuss each motion. After they discuss it, then it goes onto the floor for a vote. Another motion, it is discussed. If it's seconded, it's discussed, then it goes onto the floor for a vote. Another motion, if it is seconded, it is discussed, then it goes onto the floor for a vote. This is actually how amendments are supposed to happen to the Constitution. 47 constitutional amendments in 2022 should have gone that way. One amendment recommendation, to be read, and then debate. Debate complete, then it goes to a vote. After that, second amendment is read. And then a debate. And then it goes to a vote. And then the third amendment is read. Now, this is all assuming that this list of amendments has already gone through the first step of our procedures, meaning that they've gone to the houses locally and given the congregations there the opportunity to have it read, to enter into conversation and discuss it, and then vote on it to determine whether or not you, a local congregation, are going to allow this amendment to be pushed forward to the General Assembly Committee with the hopes that it is going to the General Assembly for them to vote on. The General Assembly Committee is supposed to count how many of those proposals that they receive from around the organization, how many of them are in favor of what is coming up in the General Assembly. And so, how many of them are in favor, of that amendment going to the General Assembly? And so, once they do a tally of all of the different amendment votes from the houses individually, each one that had more than half of the congregations, they get set aside and they go on to the General Assembly for them to talk about, discuss, and also vote on. Those who don't, those amendment votes from the houses, for those amendments that don't get at least half, then they are simply dropped and they don't go any further. After the debate, once again, is your vote, and the chair announces all the results. And that continues to go on until there's no more new motions, meaning new business, and there's no more discussions on any topics because there's no more new motions or new business. And if there's no more discussion on it, then we're going to vote on it. And then after we vote, what's next? There's nothing more. There's no more new business. Nobody has a hand. Anybody else? Anybody have anything? No. No more new business. Okay. Now all business has been concluded. We at this time can entertain a motion to adjourn. This is where that comes in. And this can come from anyone in the assembly. And what we see is that the body is then moved to adjourn unless there's anything else that comes up. So pretty much we're now done with all of the orders and all of the ways to move a meeting. Now, this may sound like a lot, but it's not. There's a cheat sheet that every one of you can pull offline if you Google Robert's Rules of Order cheat sheet. It'll show you all of these motions. It'll show you whether the vote needed for those motions to carry need a majority vote or 2/3 of the body to vote. And it'll tell you what the purpose is for each motion. And it will let you know whether or not that motion needs a second or not. So again, for those of you who are delegates coming up, you want to look for Robert's Rules of Orders cheat sheet online. They're all over the place. Read them, make sure you understand them. And also understand when using these motions, you want to make sure that you speak loudly and you speak clearly. So when I come back in the next video, I'm going to go over specific things for everyone to actually write down, because you will have to have those things in order to use this information accurately. When using Robert's Rules of Orders, first of all, you need to, number one, stay calm. Don't be nervous. Don't worry. Don't have any anxiety. And I know it's easy saying this, but just breathe. Stay calm. Nothing's going to happen. And this is a meeting for people to talk. But no matter what you do, stay calm. Secondly, you don't want to argue directly with anyone. You want to literally address nobody. You don't want to talk to anyone during the meeting, unless there's somebody beside you and you're whispering. But everything you say out loud, you want to address the chair. Whoever it is that's presiding over the meeting, that is the chair. You want to address them and only them. You want to keep it professional. So the gentleman made a motion that blah, 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 blah. However, Mr. Chair, allow me to, and then say whatever you need to say. But you're not going to address the people, and that will allow you to avoid arguments. When people speak out, then the person presiding, they will deal with that person. But you remain professional, stay calm, be clear, be direct. And make sure you always address the chair, not the person. Stay calm and address the chair. Number three, you want to make sure that there's only one speaker at a time. Two people can't talk at the same time, nor any more than that. It is the person presiding over that General Assembly. It's their job to keep everybody in line. One speaker at a time. It keeps the meeting organized. You're not talking over anyone. You're not cutting anyone off. Everybody's waiting because everyone must be heard. They have to hear you. You want to focus on your motions. You want to debate the idea. You don't want to debate the person. This is something that we need in order to ensure safety or transparency or anything for that matter. So it assures that we're showing respect one toward another. But you focus on the motion. You're not going to say, well, Bill said, no. The gentleman stated blah, 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 blah. You keep your words, attention, and focus on the motion, not on the people, on the motion, on that motion. The assembly is usually the final authority. The General Assembly is usually the final authority. Now, do y'all understand why our bishops wrote up laws where they gave themselves all this authority and then actually included in these things that they had written that they have the final say? Slick. So now it's in the Constitution that what I say is final. This is slick. 1 second. Now, the chair does not rule everything, is the point that I'm making. The chair does not rule. The chair directs the flow of the meeting by calling on, or not the flow of the meeting, the flow of the debate, by calling on a person who's going to talk next and discussions. And then they call on, after a vote is taken, then they call and direct who's going to present the next motion. And that's all they do. They don't rule over everything in the meeting. And a simple example of a full motion. Member says, I move that the organization approve a new youth outreach program with a budget of $10,000. Another member, I second. The chair, it has been moved and seconded that the organization approves a youth outreach program with a budget of $10,000. Is there any discussion? Yes, that starts the discussion. I am in favor of this because blah, 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 blah. Is there any opposition? I don't mind the idea. However, I don't think blah, 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 blah. Any other discussion in favor? It goes back and forth until there's no more. Back and forth. This is where the debate happens. Once the debate is over, the chair, all in favor say aye, or whatever way you're going to actually vote. All in favor say aye. All in favor, raise your right hand. All in favor, write Y on your secret ballots. Whatever the case may be, there's different ways of voting. And again, we're going to touch on that tomorrow. Members, aye. The chair. All opposed? Any opposed? Members, no. The chair. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. A simple motion. That's exactly how it should go. And it should be, again, just that easy, without any noise and arguing and hollering and fussing. Just that easy. Now, the last thing I'm going to do tonight, we're going to go through a mock General Assembly. And we're just going to go straight through it so that you can see how it should look. You'll see at this time how it should sound, how a General Assembly should move, right? So we're going to do a mock General Assembly. This is a General Assembly for a nonprofit religious association of 100 plus congregations. We have 137, so 137 congregations. The parliamentary procedures of this mock assembly will be based on Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, the latest rendition of Robert's Rules of Order. This mock scenario for the assembly that we're about to do, it assumes that the General Assembly is the highest governing authority, okay? As if we are an organization where the General Assembly is the highest governing authority, as we've been saying it should be, but we're assuming that it's already there. We're assuming in this scenario, delegates from 137 congregations are already credentialed and seated, ready to begin the meeting. We are assuming in this mock assembly that the assembly acts with full authority, the same as and equivalent to a board of directors. It's important for us to understand this, right? Because the General Assembly is the same as a board of directors, simply for a larger organization. A larger organization can utilize a board of directors to do all the governing, but again, all of those decisions are made by the body, and then they go forth from there. This mock assembly that we're about to go through also assumes that the officers include a CEO, which would be the executive director. It assumes that we have a secretary that's known to the organization. It assumes that there's assistant secretary known to the organization. This mock assembly assumes that there is a treasurer or slash a CFO, right? We have a CEO, but the members are not aware of a CFO, the treasurer, a chief financial officer, okay? But we're going to include all of that in our mock assembly. And we're going to assume that we have an executive leadership team. Okay. We're going to assume that we have an executive leadership team. Lastly, in this mock scenario that we're about to go through, the organization, it's assumed that the organization's bylaws permit, that they allow the removal of officers and executives by an assembly vote for cause or loss of confidence. Now, everything that we're assuming in this mock General Assembly is really what we're supposed to have already in place in our organization. All of these things are supposed to be there, but they're not. So we're going to go through a General Assembly as if our organization has everything set up the way it should be set up, the way it's supposed to be set up, the way it's supposed to be working. We're actually now going to show you what a real General Assembly, just like we did with the agenda, we're going to show you what a real General Assembly is supposed to look like. Okay. General Assembly annual session. Call to order. Chair, the presiding officer. The 2026 Annual General Assembly of the Fellowship of Houses of Prayer Congregations will come to order. The chair recognizes the Assembly Secretary for the roll and credentials report. The secretary comes up. 137 congregations are represented. 311 credentialed delegates are present. A quorum is established. Chair. A quorum being present, the assembly may transact business. Adoption of agenda. Chair. The proposed agenda has been distributed for this assembly. Are there any amendments? Motion to amend agenda. Delegate Martinez. Mr. Chair, I move to amend the agenda by adding under new business. Number 1, review of assembly leadership impartiality. Number 2, evaluation of executive conduct. Number 3, consideration of leadership replacements if necessary. Done. Delegate Chen. I second. The chair makes an attempt to block the motion. The chair questions whether these matters are appropriate for the agenda. Delegate Robert rises. Point of order. Chair. State your point. Delegate Roberts. Under Roberts' rules and the bylaws, the assembly has full authority over officers and executives. A motion to amend the agenda is in order and cannot be ruled out merely because leadership objects to the subject matter. Parliamentarian, the delegate's point is well taken, advising the chair. The chair, the point is sustained. Now comes a vote on the agenda amendment. And this is how you add or change the agenda that the chairperson is saying that we're going to talk about today. This is how you add or make changes. A vote on the agenda amendment. So once he says the point is sustained, we carry on. All in favor of adding those items, say aye. The assembly. Aye, 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 aye. Opposed? Some. No, no, no. Chair. The ayes have it. The agenda is now amended. At this point, you might hear some people, because they see progress, and the agenda is now including what that delegate just moved the entire assembly to add so that they can talk about later in the meeting today. This is how you amend the agenda. Next is the approval of previous minutes. Assistant Secretary comes to read the summary. The Assistant Secretary comes to read the summary, not all the minutes, a summary, just a summary. And someone raises an objection while they get up. We want to come forward to read the opening and the closing of the minutes. Mr. Chair, the minutes omit discussion regarding last year's ethics complaint. Secretary, that discussion was considered informal. The delegate, I move to amend the minutes to include the omitted proceedings. Second, I second that motion. You've heard the motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of amending the minutes to include the omitted proceedings and discussion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye, 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 aye. Opposed? No, no. Ayes have it. Motion is adopted by majority vote to include the omitted proceedings. So the secretary will read the entirety of all of the minutes from the previous meeting. After the reading of the minutes, you've heard the minutes. Are you ready for question? Unreadiness. What is your unreadiness? I didn't hear the date that we discussed that they would put on an anniversary for such and such. And according to my notes, that date is blah, blah, blah. I move that that date be added to the minutes. I second. You've heard the motion to add the date for the anniversary for such and such to the previously read minutes. Are you ready for question? Question. All in favor of adding the date to the minutes? This is how it goes. Smooth, no problem. If there's a block, make a motion. to carry it on, go around it. No arguing, no fussing, no yelling. Next, this time we're going to have the report of officers. This time we're going to call for the CEO to give his annual report. CEO walks up. Our annual reports reflect a decrease from 145 to currently 137 congregations. Our report announces a decrease in donor revenue. Our report shows an expansion project that is to take place in Detroit, Michigan, to begin within the next 2 months. We want to also report highlights in our ministry outreach that we've just began to have a training session for ministers also beginning this summer. It has yet to be approved and is pending approval by the body of the assembly. We have requests that have increased authority for future restructuring of some of our activity to allow for training. And that request is also in writing and being brought before the assembly today. Thank you, Mr. CEO. Are there questions from the delegates? Yes, Delegate Harper. Why were several disciplinary investigations kept confidential from the assembly last year? CEO. Personal matters are not the assembly's concern. Therefore, I did not take it upon myself to present a report pertaining to that situation because it is a personal matter. Murmurs in the room. The captain, the chair. We're asking for order. We're asking everyone to respect the assembly. Keep your comments to yourselves as we hold discussion. Delegate Simmons. Point of information. The bylaws specifically require reporting of executive ethical investigations to the assembly. And since the bylaws specifically require the reporting of executive ethical investigations to the assembly, then the delegates' point and their question still remains, and it's a valid question. So we still need to know, why would you take it upon yourself to not bring that report to the General Assembly? Parliamentarian who advises the chair confirms that the delegate raised a valid point. The chair must move. Mr. CEO, how long will it take for you to have a report ready for the assembly? Would you allow me to have a report ready for 1 week? Assembly, it's been stated that he needs 1 week or would like to take 1 week. Objection. He didn't say he needs 1 week. He said he would like to have a week. I think that or I move that we give him till the end of the assembly today to take the time necessary to get that report, because he's already had several months. And because of what the rule says in the bylaws, we should have that report here already. So a week from now, we're not going to be in the assembly. And then we're going to have to table it until next year. We need to hear that today so that we can make a ruling on it today. I second that motion. It's been moved and seconded that a report be given at the end of the assembly today. Are you ready for question? Question? All those in favor, say aye. Aye, 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 aye. Any opposed? No, no, no. The ayes have it. Mr. CEO, we're asking you to have a report ready by the end of the assembly. This time we're going to have the CFO report, the treasurer. They come up. And Ivona wants to become a part of the Reformation Committee. We'll go back to the comments afterwards. CFO gives their treasurer report. The chief financial officer comes up. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Our report shows that there has been a revenue decrease by 11%. We also reflect expenses exceeding the budget by 8%. There's also expenditures for executive travel, and that spending was increased last year. The expenses totaled 41% above budgeting. We also have legal settlements that are disclosed in detail, and we have a report ready, but that is to be released, I'm assuming, in executive session. Objection? Delegate Gents? We have not made a motion, or have we approved for that report to be given in executive session. That report needs to be given along with your full report now to the assembly so that we can vote on that information. I second. You've heard the motion and there's been a second. Is there any discussion? Delegate Gant. Yes, I think that information is sensitive, and I disagree. We should not disclose that information. We should allow that for executive session. Any other approvals? Yes, I approve that we should actually hear the report and then we can vote on it. But I would like to I move to amend the motion to allow a vote so that we can determine whether or not we want to hear the information or allow it to go to executive session. This is how it goes. No problem, no fuss, no issue. But when people understand how to make their motions and the statements that need to be made, then it flows. So the delegates, you're going to need to take time to go over this so that you understand it. But you don't need to worry about it because, again, we're going to give you what to say. You just need to understand what's going on. So we'll continue with the CFO report. The legal settlements will be disclosed in my report for this session. And if you will permit me, I can have that available to you after we hear the CEO's report at the end of the day's session. It's been moved that we hear the final legal settlements to be disclosed today after the CEO's reports at the end of the session. All in favor, say aye. Aye, 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 aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We will hear the settlements disclosed in today's session after the CEO report. Motion, Delegate Alvarez. I move that the Assembly order an independent financial and governance audit. I second. It's been moved that the Assembly orders an independent and outside financial and governance audit. And it's been seconded. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for question? Question. All those in favor of ordering an independent, outside, financial, and governance audit to take place, let it be known by saying aye. 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 All opposed? Motion passes overwhelmingly. This time we'll have a secretary report. People still clapping because they see progress. They're seeing progress. This time we're going to have the secretary's report. The secretary presents procedural statistics and committee records. Procedural statistics and committee records. Many delegates complain. Delegates are not recognized fairly. Microphones have been selectively muted. Motions have been delayed. And minority reports are omitted. That's the secretary's report. The committee reports. Now, what that is it's just a stamp of what those complaints have been. Not fixing anything yet, right? Just talking about what those complaints have been. That's the secretary's report. Next, we're going to have the committee reports. First, the governance committee report. We're going to ask for the board chair of that committee, the committee chair, if they'll come forward and give us their report. Yes, this is the report from the governance committee. And we have findings that reflect bylaw ambiguities regarding executive accountability. We find that there has been many issues where executive decisions were made and seemingly against some of the laws and the procedures, and there has been nothing done in order to hold certain executives accountable for those actions. We have a recommendation for annual ethics certifications, and we have a recommendation, as you'll see in the report, for the Assembly to recall certain procedures that has been enacted over the last 2 years. That is our report. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair of the Governance Committee. At this time, we'll have the report coming from the Ethics Committee. Now, all the reports, the information is going out there. It's going onto the table. That information is going to be revisited. These are just reports. The Ethics Committee report. We're calling for the chairman of the Ethics Committee. They come out. The Ethics Committee states multiple complaints were received regarding executive intimidation. where multiple staff felt as if they have been intimidated consistently by more than 3 executive officers. We have reports and findings that the CEO interfered with committee investigations. There's also certain assembly officers that appeared partial during these proceedings. The room becomes tense because people know what they're hearing is a problem. If you hear executive officers are intimidating staff, that's a problem. If you hear that the CEO is interfering with investigations, that's a problem. The legal term for this is called obstruction of justice. If you know stuff is wrong, you're not supposed to act to hide it. You're not supposed to act to prevent an investigation. You're not supposed to act to support wrongdoing or violations of regulations, violations of procedures, violations of policies, or violations of rules. You're supposed to sit back and allow investigations to take place and then support the findings in the event that the investigation found individuals are guilty of violating laws, rules, regulations, or policies and procedures. Your job is to support the organization's policies and hold every single person accountable for wrongdoing. That's what every single individual within an organization is supposed to be doing. Okay? And they just heard that the CEO is involved in interfering with investigations for executive intimidation, complaints by staff. Now the room is tense. Why? Because this is the General Assembly, and they are the boss. Now the room is tense. And they know, as the General Assembly, when we're not in this room, we don't have power. When we're not in this room, we don't have authority. When we're not in this room, we can't do anything about problems like this. When we're not in this room, they get away with stuff that they doing like that. We know in this room that the time and the space taken up in this room right here, right now, this is the place for us to deal with matters like that. And we have the authority and we have the power to fix it so that those types of things do not happen again. And if they do, then the example that's being set to everyone in the organization is that the General Assembly will not tolerate any type of harassment, any type of humiliation, any type of fear tactic, any type of intimidation towards any of the staff of the entire organization. You don't have to use a fear tactic if you're not doing anything wrong. You don't have to use intimidation techniques if you're not doing anything wrong. When you start using bullying behavior, raising your voice, verbally abusing people, embarrassing people, discrediting people, humiliating people publicly, slandering people, dehumanizing people, when you start doing those things and people hear that who know their authority in a board meeting or general assembly, that room is going to get tense. Why? Because they know if they allow you to do it to somebody else, it's just a matter of time before you do it to them. Why? Because when we're not in this meeting, we don't have no power. We're not going to allow somebody to be in a position and have authority over people, who's going to abuse people, who's going to disrespect people. You are an executive. You're supposed to be the example. And when we talk about a team, we're looking for team players, not bullies. There's no I in team. We all have a role to play, and we're supposed to work together. So this is why in that meeting, it's going to tense up when they hear a report like that. And this is coming from the ethics committee report, from the ethics committee. The room becomes tense. Okay. Now that's on the table. We're not doing nothing with it yet. But just like the board meetings, they're taking notes. Why? Because they know what they just heard. And they know that there's a time coming up in the meeting for them to deal with that. Compensation committee report. Now, it can be dealt with as soon as they give their report. Again, I'm just going through a mock version, but the assembly determines when they're going to deal with these matters. Somebody can make a motion. I move that we deal with those matters in each and every report at the end of the report that's given, and prior to any other committee coming to make a report. Right? Easy as that. And if the body approves, then now they're going to deal with that situation at the end of the report that was given. But they take notes because they know that they're going to fix this. They're going to deal with that. You're not going to walk around and you're an executive and you're disrespecting people and you're yelling at people and you're embarrassing people and humiliating people. In a nonprofit, we're supposed to be doing things to help people in need. And if we walking around and we're disrespecting each other inside of a nonprofit, then how are we going to act with people who are in need? The next report, compensation committee. We're asking for your chairperson, your chairman to come and make their report. We are the compensation committee, and we are giving our report today. We recommend that the CEO salary, he's been here now. This is the 6th year, and the committee is looking for increase from $220,000 annual salary to $260,000 annual salary. We, the compensation committee, we recommend that we expand the housing allowance of the CEO to an additional $4,000. We, the compensation committee, recommend that we allow for an additional vehicle to replace the vehicle that the mileage has now exceeded 380,000 miles. We also recommend an additional travel benefit that his food allowance is increased from $2,000 per month to $2,400 per month. Delegates react negatively. Why? They just heard CEO interfered with investigations by the ethics committee investigating executives misbehaving towards staff. So what's on their mind is not to increase your salary, to not increase your food budget. They're not thinking about replacing the car. They're thinking about something else, because CEO's not supposed to be interfering with an investigation. And they take notes because they're coming back to it. Next order of business. Thank you, Compensation Committee Captain, Chair. Next order of business is we have a motion on the floor to replace the Assembly Secretary and Assistant Secretary. We need a motion. Delegate Owens. Mr. Chair, I move that the Assembly declares a loss of confidence in the General Assembly Secretary and Assistant Secretary and remove them from their offices effective immediately due to the inability to administer proceedings in a fair and impartial manner. I second. Now, the floor is open for debate, because instead of a motion to open the floor for nominations, we now have a motion to replace the General Assembly Secretary and the Assistant because of a loss of confidence due to their inability, according to the Assembly delegates, to administer proceedings that's fair and impartial. So they're saying that we don't like how you've been running this meeting. We want to replace you altogether. And these are people who know that they have the authority and the power to do that. Right? So the debate is open. The leadership attempts to block. It sounds like this. The chair rules this motion out of order because officer removals require prior notice. Delegate Patel. Appeal from the decision of the chair. Second, remember, an appeal from the decision of the chair means we're going to remove your right to make a ruling on that motion. And we're going to ask that the body makes a decision instead of you, because it's just been motioned that we've lost confidence in you. So we're not going to allow you to make the decision to make a ruling on that motion. That's how easy. It's easy. That's why I've been saying, y'all don't have to worry about anything. In a meeting where you have proper rules being conducted of Robert's orders. Again, look at what is Robert's rules of order. Is to prevent chaos. It keeps order as long as it's followed. And if we understand how to use the rules, you don't have to worry about people trying to this and trying to that. No, you put a motion on the floor and you get somebody to second it, and now they got to entertain it. And you make a motion to remove people or replace people, and the body votes on it. And this only can happen one time a year. This is that opportunity for all those people to remove the Assembly Secretary who they feel is being biased and unfair towards the members of the Assembly. And they're quiet the whole time, not saying nothing until it comes up in the meeting. I move that to remove them for loss of confidence, right? So now the chair rules this motion out of order. Appeal from the decision of the chair. Second receive. Boom. Now the chair can't make a ruling. You got to put it on the floor for the people to vote on it. The appeal process. Delegate Patel, who appealed the decision of the chair, appealed from the decision of the chair. The bylaws permit removal for cause by 2/3 vote at any duly called assembly where a quorum exists. Notice was effectively provided through the adopted amended agenda. It was on the amended agenda. It was not on your agenda, but we gave notice with the amended agenda that we voted on. And now that it's approved, that has been sitting there for the duration of this meeting. Therefore, that serves as prior notice. Now we're at the point where it's time to make a motion to have you removed. This is how it works, as long as you understand the rules. Parliamentarian. The appeal is valid. A parliamentarian coming in is supposed to be neutral. They don't take sides. Now, if there is a parliamentarian that comes in, just like there has been other times when we've seen people brought into the assembly that the members did not approve of, right? The members did not approve of, but the leadership did. But the people didn't know that they could do something about it. So once the parliamentarian says that the appeal is valid, then that's a wrap. The people now get to vote on the appeal. So the chair, shall the decision of the chair be sustained? I said that that motion is out of order. Shall that decision be sustained? It's up to you all because they appealed the decision of the chair to you all. Shall my decision be held? Shall my decision be sustained? Or do you all disagree and you want my decision to be overturned? That's the question. Shall the decision of the chair be sustained? Votes are counted. To sustain the chair, 96 votes. To oppose the chair, 302 votes. Order, order, order in the assembly. Chair, the decision of the chair is not sustained. The debate continues. Delegate Brooks. The issue before us is not personalities, but procedural integrity. Delegate Emerson. The assembly cannot function if delegates believe the process is manipulated. The secretary defends their position. I reject accusations of bias. We need to put a vote on the floor. All of those in favor of removal of the General Assembly Secretary and the assistant, we have a vote being taken by secret ballot. Write Y or N. Votes come in. Delegates in favor of removal, 311. Order, order. Opposed, 72. Motion is adopted. General Assembly Secretary, Assistant, you may step down to the Assembly so that we can entertain nominations for replacement. Nominations are open. Delegate. I would like to nominate Delegate Angela Carter. Delegate. I would like to nominate Mr. Timothy Hale. I would like to close the floor for said two names. Close the floor nominations. Second, all those in favor of Mr. Carter or Miss Carter is elected. Assistant Secretary candidates, you may have two. We're making this up. Two. There's a Mr. Reed and a Mr. James Fulcrum. And Mr. Reed is elected. New officers immediately sworn in, take their positions. Next order of business, executive performance evaluations. Executive performance evaluations. Yes. For example, yes. And we're going to go there in a moment. Executive performance evaluations. The assembly enters structured evaluation proceedings. Each executive is reviewed separately. We have 5 positions coming up. Each executive reviewed separately. CEO, Treasurer, Chief Financial Officer, CFO. The COO, Chief Operations Officer. The General Counsel, collectively as a whole, and Human Resources Director. Delegates, complete your scored evaluations on each of these positions independently. They go through them, they're done, they're collected, and the findings are read aloud. Whether or not satisfaction of each office determined or coming from the body is satisfactory. Findings read aloud. CEO. Leadership, effectiveness, poor. Ethical conduct, poor. Transparency, moderate. Organizational trust, severely diminished. Now, you might hear murmuring, but moderate just means everybody did not think that transparency was poor. Some people thought it was moderate, and it was more of those who thought it was moderate than those who thought it was poor. But the entire rating is bad. The effectiveness is poor. Ethical conduct, poor. Transparency, moderate. Organizational trust, severely diminished. That's not a good report. And they just reading it out loud, not doing anything yet. CFO, financial competency, good. Transparency, severely diminished, no transparency. COO, operational marks evaluation, poor. General counsel, one popular statement, overwhelmingly from the body, general counsel is criticized for suppressing complaints over and over and over again from the body. Nothing's done about it. The reports are just in. They're going to get to it later. But these officers now know they have a horrible evaluation. And whenever you know that you have a horrible evaluation on your mind, the expectation is that you're going to be terminated, you're going to get warnings or whatever, but it's not going to be good. Because again, your future is in the hands of the General Assembly, the body. These people are your boss. Once they get out that door, they're just members again. But inside that room, they exercise authority over you. This is why CEOs and executives, they do everything they can to appease the people. They got to stand up for what's right. They got to abide by the laws and the policies and the procedures and the regulations and the rules. But they're friendly towards employees. They're friendly towards staff. They got to stand up, but they don't act like they're bigger than anybody. No, their job is on the line. And these are some of the people that you acting snobby with. They may end up being a delegate next year to evaluate you. So they don't go around acting like that towards people. Next order of business, next on the agenda, ethics incident during session. Ethics incident during session. During a debate, the ethics committee chairperson makes their way back. During the debate, the CEO was witnessed threatening delegates privately, attempting to pressure committee members, interrupting proceedings aggressively, and publicly insulting a delegate. Whispering to one another. The ethics committee immediately reconvenes. The next order of business on the agenda is a motion to remove/replace CEO. Main motion. Delegate Rivera. I move that the Assembly terminate the employment of the Chief Executive Officer for conduct unbecoming the office and for violations of the organization's bylaws and ethical standards. I second. It's been moved and seconded that the Assembly terminate the employment of the Chief Executive Officer for conduct unbecoming the office and for violations of the organization's bylaws and ethical standards. It's also been seconded. Is there any discussion? No discussion? The CEO attempts to defend. The CEO. This assembly is acting emotionally and exceeding its authority. You don't have the authority to do what it is that you're doing here. Delegate response. Delegate Mort. The bylaws explicitly place executive accountability under this assembly. The bylaws says it, that this assembly has executive accountability under it. We have the right and the authority to do what we're doing in here right now. Ethics Committee statement. Ethics Chair. The committee unanimously finds the CEO's conduct incompatible with continued service. You've heard Delegate Morgan. The bylaws explicitly place executive accountability under this assembly. And this is, according to the bylaws, the only assembly that has the authority to hold executive officers accountable. As such, I rule that the assembly does have the authority, and we just heard from the ethics committee chair that the committee unanimously finds the CEO's conduct incompatible with continued service. We need a motion on the floor. Delegate Harshaw, I move to suspend the rules requiring delayed personnel action so the assembly may act immediately due to ongoing disruption. Immediately. I second, and this requires a 2/3 vote. Are y'all ready for question? The assembly. Ready, 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 ready. All of those in favor of suspending the rules requiring delayed personnel action so the assembly may act immediately due to ongoing disruption, let it be known by saying aye. Aye, 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 aye. Any opposed? The vote succeeds, overwhelming majority. The CEO is removed. Now, I added a different technique for the vote. So we're just going to go through that. For the vote of removal, the motion that suspended rules is regarding whether or not to deal with this right now, because the rules say that there must be personnel action, but it has to be delayed for an investigation. And pending that investigation, you have to come back for more procedures before you can act to remove an executive officer. So here, this motion to suspend the rules, right? We talked about that. The motion to suspend the rules for immediate action means that we're going to vote so that that rule in the Constitution is temporarily suspended to allow the General Assembly to act immediately to remove a CEO so that there are no disruptions going forward if you had to wait and delay the penalties of their actions. So now that the assembly voted in favor of suspending that rule, now they can go ahead and move forward. But you have to deal with any rules that are in place saying that you can't do that. You can't do that. Well, the assembly can do whatever they want as long as it's put in the form of a motion, and then there's discussion, and then the assembly votes on it. So the rule says that you can't do something. Well, this is an example of, well, we can do what we want. And because we know the rule says that we can't, well, we're going to take a vote on suspending that rule. So we're going to temporarily remove that rule out of the way. We're going to remove it. And now it's not even there. Now, do y'all see why the minutes are so important? Because the minutes will reflect the actions of the meeting. And as long as what you do within the rules, everything is allowed. So you can suspend a rule that says you can't do something. We're going to suspend that rule. It's like a child being suspended from school. You have 5-day suspension. You can't go to school for 5 days. Well, that means you can't participate for 5 days. You're on suspension. Well, when you suspend a rule, that rule cannot participate in the Constitution. It's on suspension for this meeting. It cannot participate. So now it cannot stop the General Assembly from penalizing this executive officer. That rule is suspended. Now we can go ahead and penalize you. So they had a vote to remove the rule. Now they can do what they need to do. Okay. So they go on to vote on a CEO removal by secret ballot. The motion to have this vote is by secret ballot. It's a sensitive topic. So the results to remove the CEO, the results 358 votes. Retain CEO, 59 votes. Motion adopted. The CEO is removed immediately. The next item on the agenda is an interim leadership transition, meaning you got to replace the leadership that was just removed. Motion. Delegate Clark. I move that the chief operating officer serve as interim CEO until a permanent CEO is selected. I second that motion. It's been moved that the chief operating officer serve as interim CEO until a permanent CEO is selected. And it's been seconded. Any discussion? Are you ready for question? Question. All those in favor of the chief operating officer serving as interim CEO until a permanent CEO is selected, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. The chief operating officer is now the interim CEO until the permanent CEO is selected. Or you can just select another CEO. It can go either way. Most of the time, if they're going to select an interim, it's to give that person a chance to see how they're going to perform and allow them to see whether they like it, right? It's like a trial run. And if you don't like how they perform, then you have the opportunity that comes up. Well, we can replace them anyway. But there's no harm done, no foul, no harm. Following investigation findings. Following investigation findings. Motions adopted. Remember, that was on the amended agenda to have the general counsel removed. The motions that were adopted to have the HR director placed on administrative leave. I move that the general counsel be removed. I move that the HR director is placed on administrative leave immediately. I move that the independent ethics monitor is appointed. I move that the temporary governance reform task force be established, right? All these are motions that individuals can vote on and have the backing to just support and vote on it. And now it's adopted. That's how simple this is. The next item on the agenda is compensation discussion for the new CEO. We're going to ask the compensation committee to reconvene and put together a package proposed compensation package for our new CEO for the interim. They get done, come back. The chairperson of the compensation committee, we have the proposed compensation package for interim CEO, base salary $185,000 annually. We propose a housing allowance of $15,000 per month. No, that's way too much. $8,000 per month. We propose a performance review every 6 months. We also propose no discretionary bonus without assembly approval. You've heard the proposal package coming from the chairman of the compensation committee. And thank you, Ms. Chairman. And we're going to now open the floor for debate. Delegate Franklin. We should tie compensation to measurable organizational health and ethical compliance. I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Delegate Franklin? We should tie compensation to measurable organizational health and ethical compliance. Delegate Lane. No executive compensation increases until the audit is complete. Okay. Delegate Sten. I move to prohibit executive bonuses pending governance reforms. I second. You've heard it's been moved to prohibit executive bonuses pending governance reforms and has been seconded. All of those in favor, say aye. Aye, aye, aye. All opposed? It is adopted. Amendment was offered and accepted. Next on the agenda is governance reform measures. Now, what we just went over is compensation for the CEO. The body, we're supposed to decide that. The CEO is supposed to be getting paid, but we're supposed to determine his pay. No one knows how much the CEO is getting paid. That is a huge problem for Mr. and Mrs. Remember IRS, right? IRS. Wait a minute, y'all don't know how much your CEO make? Y'all don't have a compensation committee? The organization has no idea? None? Huh. How long has that been? Right? This is a problem. The CEO's pay, benefits, everything that he receives is supposed to be decided upon by the assembly. You're not supposed to make the chairmans and council make a call for the members to march around the walls and put money in the pan every time you walk into a service. This is your compensation? And the members don't have a clue how much money it is. There's no report given to us. We have to report tithes, house offering, G-class, love gift, right? Convocation expense, everything. You sell on the yard, you got to report, everything we do, we report everything. You don't have to report how much you're getting paid. People, they're going to have a field day when they come up in here. unless we fix it. Not only a march given, but 2 marches. Remember the Red Cross seal? 2 marches. 2 marches. Senior department, youth department, and then the babies got to come and pay you money. The babies got to come. And then people riding the buses, they got to pay you money. Going to take a love gift on the bus. And then in every single congregation, every single Sunday, they're going to give more and more and more. This is an issue, and you're calling this compensation. And then holidays come up, and people got to give you that. Besides that, when you travel, now the people got to pay for hotel rooms. This is a part of compensation. And this is legally called excessive compensation. This is a problem. Then your food expense while you're also traveling, that's on the people's shoulders. They got to take care of that too. And anything else you need that comes from the people, they got to take care of that too. And where did it come from that the members got to pay for the entourage? The members got to pay for Miss Madison's hotel room. The members got to pay for Miss Madison's transportation and the security and staff transportation when you're visiting these other cities. The members got to pay for that. Again, we talked about Chicago one time, 9 hotel rooms. This is not for the bishop. This is the bishop telling the people, no, y'all going to take care of this, and whatever else I say. Remember, y'all can't fire me. Well, yes, the people can. The people just didn't know that they can. Anyway, so this is that portion of the agenda where the people talk about the compensation plan for the officers, because they don't come to the people and say, this is what y'all gonna do for me. Y'all gonna do this, y'all gonna do this, you're gonna do this. And wait a minute, you're not? What do you mean not? No, you're gonna do whatever it is I tell you you're gonna do. If you don't like it, get your hat and coat and go out that door. Problems. We have 16. Okay, we're wrapping up. Next on the agenda is governance reform measures. Governance reform measures. The Assembly adopt these reform measures in the agenda earlier. They adopted mandatory annual ethics disclosures to disclose this information. Mandatory annual ethics disclosures. You have to have some ethics if you're going to be an executive in our organization, right? And that's what this is about. But the Assembly sets this up. Right now, the Assembly not setting up nothing. Remember, Mr. Cunningham wanted you all to come in there to DC, all this money spent in travel, hotels coming out your pocket, or the little bit that you get from the congregation, right? But to come there and sit there and get nothing done. Talk about none of this stuff. Talk about nothing at all, anything within the organization. That's what they want. Needs to stop. The Assembly adopts mandatory annual ethics disclosures, independent whistleblower hotline. What that is, and many companies have this now, where people, if they see something, say something. That's now policy in many places. You see something, say something. So there's a number that all of the staff know that they can pick up a call, and it's confidential. They can report anything they want to report, and the report is taken, and then that report is given to a committee, the oversight committee for them to start looking into. And this is very serious business because people now going to be removed, they're going to be penalized, sometimes go to jail. Okay. So they approve of the assembly independent whistleblower hotline where people can call in and report things and without worrying about retaliation. The moment a company or organization retaliates against a whistleblower, look out. There's so many laws that's going to come down on your head for retaliating against a whistleblower. People been waiting on me. Hey. So people who have something to report can report it. Same thing with human resources, right? You have people in different places to take information for a reason. The assembly adopts term limits for officers where you can't be an officer for more than a certain number of years. Certainly not going to be approved of a lifetime appointment. Lifetime appointment, right? No, you can't do that. So if you were to do that, you need to have some things in place for oversight. But lifetime appointment, that can mean the next 20, 30, 40 years, and nobody can do anything. And this is the problem right now, because Mr. Cunningham has said, y'all ain't going to do jack. You ain't going to do nothing, not a thing to me. That's what he's saying. Because he said, I'm going to be here until the day he calls me home. He's telling the entire organization, what you gonna do? No, you get your hat and coat and you out. You go. Bye-bye. Bye, Felicia. But he knows he can't put people out. Especially when people are calling him into accountability for his wrongdoing. And that's why just saying a bunch of stuff, and jumping up and down and yelling and hollering. But the assembly adopt term limits for officers and delegate access rights protections. That means delegates coming to the General Assembly where you can't be barred, right? Mr. Cunningham put it in the Constitution, which that can be blocked. That the Credentials Committee now has the right to reject delegates at the door. You can't do that. Listen, people, I'm telling you all, if you do nothing about it, this right here is going to stay until the people fix it. And now you have things in there where Mr. Cunningham can have the council tell you at the door, you can't come. Now remember, they've been restricting people already. They restricted me. Why? Why am I restricted from coming into a General Assembly meeting? Because he's labeled me as someone who has raised litigation against the organization or the bishop. That's why it's there. Keep troublemakers out. But people who's trying to bring attention to what you're doing wrong, that's not a troublemaker. You're the troublemaker because you're blocking. You're the troublemaker by interfering. You're the troublemaker by obstructing, right? So when members act, they're acting to not only protect themselves, but to protect everybody else. Everybody else. Here. And the assembly adopts mandatory parliamentary training for presiding officers, where you must get training of how to run an effective and a fair meeting. Parliamentary training means to be trained in Robert's Rules of Order and to do what we're doing, right? To go through this training to learn how to conduct an effective and a fair meeting, right? The assembly can adopt any rules that they want, anything. And these are definitely rules that need to be in place because the members have been kicked, beat, pushed, uh, rejected, blocked, anything that you can think of, while the leadership here does everything they can to prevent themselves from being held accountable for all these laws that they're breaking. That's why this is important. The next thing on the agenda is additional business normally included. Additional business that's normally included that we have not discussed yet. Approves the assembly also approves next year's ministry budget. How much money is going to be spent in the ministry for next year? The assembly decides that. The assembly determines that, how much money is going to be used and put to the use of for this, of that. How much money are we going to decide to budget for this and that? The assembly does that. The assembly also adopts a strategic plan. How are we going to carry out what we need to carry out next year? How are we going to carry out what we need to do working towards our mission for next year? The assembly does that. The assembly also receives insurance and legal risk reports. We have an insurance report that we need to discuss, that we need to hear. What about legal risks currently, right now, that we have around the organization that we need to deal with? The assembly takes care of that. The assembly approves property transactions. We have a purchase on the table to buy something $118 million. Well, what is it and why so much? The assembly does that. The CEO don't get to put his hands on the account and do with it whatever he wants, whenever he wants, however he wants, wherever he wants, with whosoever he wants. And no questions, no accountabilities. Nobody is checking him, seeing what he's doing, where he's doing it at, how he's doing it. He's supposed to be following orders as the employee. He's supposed to be following orders, right? Here, the assembly reviews membership applications from new congregations. The assembly does this. The assembly should be setting up pastors, setting up councils. The assembly is supposed to be taking on or letting go. The assembly, because there's apparently too much power for one person over an organization this big, only you deciding everything in here, only you have the authority over everything in here. Whatever you say goes. Your decision is final. Whatever you say, no matter what, that the members, the General Assembly, the congregations have no power whatsoever. That's what the Constitution says, that these bishops wrote, that the members of the General Assembly and the congregations have no power whatsoever over the CEO. Okay. The General Assembly is supposed to appoint external auditors. The General Assembly, we've never had an audit that we know of, ever. This is a problem. The General Assembly is supposed to receive missions and outreach reports. We've never received the mission or outreach report, ever. The Assembly is supposed to approve committee memberships. The Assembly is supposed to set next Assembly date and location, not the bishop, the Assembly. The bishop has all the decision making. to decide everything for everybody at any time, no matter what it is. People. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. But no, we don't have to fill out an application for membership. This is just an example. It's a mock assembly, General Assembly report, like minutes. Number 18, you're welcome. Resolutions of the assembly. We're supposed to be getting that as well. We have a resolution passed in today's General Assembly. The General Assembly reaffirms that all officers and executives serve at the confidence of the assembly and are accountable to the organization's mission, bylaws, and ethical standards. All of those in favor, let it be known by standing on your feet. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody, everybody. Why? It's a resolution that every person there, they're reaffirming that every officer and executive serve the confidence of the people in the assembly, and that they're accountable to the mission of the organization, to the bylaws of the organization, and to ethical standards. And if you break it, you will be held accountable to the assembly for them to penalize you. That should be the standard everywhere. But this bishop wants none of that. This bishop does not want to be held accountable. This bishop wants free range to do anything and everything and demand whatever he feels like it, because he actually said for going on 3 years now, he has said that he is a king. He is the king of the United House of Prayer for All People. And this is how he's acting. Like he's not subject to anybody. Y'all do what I say. I change the rules. I make the rules. Y'all follow it. Those are his exact words. Washington, D.C., 2024 announcement weekend. I change the rules. Y'all follow it. This is not a CEO. This is a dictator. But the members did not know that they had the authority to do something about these things. And this is why we're clarifying right now. 19, adjournment. Adjournment. The chair, there being no further business, this assembly stands adjourned. Over. But by the time that meeting is over, they've fixed the council's problems. They've fixed the executive officers' problems. They've removed the CEO. They've removed other executives. They've established committees. They've gotten reports from everything that's happening. Last week, boom. The noise. I know. I'm almost done. But the year's reports, the whole year, and then where we stand now, and then next year, all that for 12 months coming up, right? So this information, if right now the members are doing nothing except coming together and roll call, and then nothing, waiving the minutes and having a fake election for General Assembly secretary, and then adjournment. we're doing nothing. And that's why Mr. Cunningham's doing everything he feels like. And that's it. He wants you to come in there and do the exact same thing this year. All of these things is what the members should be preparing for. And if not, then there's going to be some problems because outside they're going to see all of this. The mock assembly that we just had included call to order, quorum verification, agenda adoption, amendments, points of order, appeals from the decision of the chair, committee reports, main motions, debate, suspension of rules, secret ballot votes, removal of officers, election procedures, executive session matters, performance evaluations, compensation discussions, governance reforms, and then adjournment. All of those things in one meeting. But they want you to come to have nothing whatsoever. So these issues are pertinent to everything that we need coming up on Friday. With that in mind, we'll go to the comments, and that's all I have here. So let's see here what we're doing. And I see it's now almost midnight, almost 12, but we're going to wrap this up. 1 second. And let me see, how do we do this? Oh, here we go. So we don't have a lot. Boo-boo. 1 second. Let me make sure she can hear me. She's got headphones on, and she didn't hear me before. Thanks, babe.
I'm trying to be noisy. I have to do an ice bath for this, and
Oh, I know.
I waited as long as I could. Like,
Yeah. One second. Just. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. I sat a drink lemonade down, and before we started, and let me know not to sit it there, and sure enough, knocked it over. And now we know. But let's go over the comments. And Miss Mintz, I see you, Brother Lewis. We have the lives of him and her. Welcome, everyone. Oh, so you're seeing this anyway on the screen. So thank you, the lives of him and her. Welcome, everyone. Please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button to show your support. Don't forget to set your notifications to stay updated. I'm reading from the side because the font on my screen is tight and I can't see all the wording. So that's why I pulled this back up. And don't forget to set your notifications bell to stay updated. Email address, we stand for right at 2024@gmail.com. Thank you. Again, the lives of him and her. And the lives of him and her. Study and learn the different motions you can place on the floor. Google or download a Robert's Rules cheat sheet to help you understand meeting procedure, debate, voting, and order. And that doesn't take that long, right? The cheat sheet is very, very easy. You can go over it literally in an hour or less to understand everything that's on it. But it may take you a little bit to understand the procedures of the meeting, which you don't have to know all of that going into the General Assembly. Remember, we're going to tell you exactly what to say. In fact, I'm going to go over tomorrow different points and give you exact words of what to say and when, so that you know that there's nothing that will happen, can happen to you. They already know how this works. Mr. Cunningham and the individuals that serve on the General Council, when they get there tomorrow, they're not bishop and council. They're members of the General Assembly. That's all that they are. They don't have any rule over you. They don't have any authority over you. The only one that has any simulation of authority is whoever's chairing the meeting. And that's just, to call somebody next and to call someone next. And every single person that wishes to speak must be heard. They're going to try to intimidate you to not talk at all, to not say anything at all. So with that in mind,
I just wanted to add, if I could, you can click on the video of yourself with your mouse. You'll see the arrow to extend to full screen. That way you don't have to read out the side, but I just wanted to add that, and then I'm going to digress.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
And we thank our team, everybody. We're trying a few things differently tonight, as you can see. Okay, so we have B. Mevdeman. Good evening, everyone. Peace, everybody. Good evening to you as well. Ms. Mintz, good evening, B. Mevdeman. And I'm not upset. B. Mevdeman at Ms. Mintz, good evening. Golden Boy, oh yes, we're fancy tonight. I'm not upset, I'm happy. Good evening, Ms. Mintz. I'm loving this new look. B. Mevdeman, Ms. Mintz, neither I. Let's go, members. Hey, glad to see and have you all out tonight. Someone's manning the lines. I'm not upset, I'm happy. Hey, Golden Boy, we met over the phone yesterday. Nice meeting you. Golden Boy, hey, nice to meet you as well. Golden Boy, our meeting yesterday is paying off with the streaming and graphics. The lives of him and her. Welcome, everyone that's coming in this evening. We're streaming simultaneously on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Please thumbs up the video, and thank you. What do you believe? Good evening. Good evening. Joseph the 11th son, good evening, sir. Welcome. Good evening. Devona, hello, everyone. Am I able to become a part of the Reformation Committee? We will have several opportunities for many members because there will need to be several committees. Those things will come up, but we have to do first things first. We have to set up certain things as we go forward. So with that said, there will be ample opportunity for just about anyone who's willing to learn how to do certain things and then carry those things out, or jump on board and learn as we go. We will be having plenty of things to do, plenty of opportunities for everyone, and we certainly don't mind individuals having a willing mind and then jumping in and learning again. after the fact while they're doing. I'm sure we will have plenty of opportunity to take on consultation and have professionals guide us with certain things, as well as experts in different fields and areas to ensure that we're doing things right according to the law and that we're compliant to any and all regulations as well, because this is a pretty big feat. This is huge. So there's going to be ample opportunity for all kinds of individuals that want to do certain things, and just stay with us and stay with us and stay available, I should say. So Golden Boy says, yes, it's very helpful. Devona, please email us. That's the email address there. Ms. Corrine, good evening. Good evening. The lives of him and her. Hello. Time wasted. Hello, everyone. Golden Boy, now Addie Cunningham can meet us on screen with the video link for him to join us on screen for any respectful conversation. We'll see what happens. Golden Boy, hello there. Golden Boy, don't be too shy to comment tonight. I won't put all of them up. The lives of him and her. For example, as far as a motion, I move that the board terminate the employment of the CEO effective immediately. I need a second. And when it comes to seconding, anybody can jump up. If you're in agreement at any time, just jump right up. I second that, right? You have the second, and now it has to be pushed forward through the meeting, right? So everyone there know that if there's any motions on the floor, all you have to do is just say, I second anything that you agree to. And it doesn't matter how many times you do it. People do it all the time. I second that. I second that. I want it to go forward. No one has a right to look at you funny. Well, why don't you sit down and blah? None of that nonsense. This is business, and anything that you would like to hear, see, watch, whatever the case may be, this is business. This is where you're supposed to do it. And if other people are sketchy, iffy, hesitant, or whatever, you go for it. You go for it. You move the meeting, or you make sure that people who are moving the meeting, they go forward with it by seconding. Other people will catch on. Other people will, they see you doing, other people will fall in line, and they will get bold enough to do it as well. But nothing's going to happen. It's a meeting. And by the time the meeting is over, just like we just saw in a mock assembly, now it's over. That CEO is terminated. So after that meeting, what is he going to do? He's terminated. What is he going to do? Now the meeting can go on, and you're under now a new CEO until you pick one permanently. But now the people can breathe because you don't have all that weight of the people being pressured and under that old CEO that's doing whatever, interfering with investigations, and I want you to this and that. None of that. It's gone. It's gone. And now it's over. Right? The lives of him and her has been properly moved and seconded. Right. Joseph, in a United House of Prayer for all people, leadership, or members that would like to have open, respectful dialogue, we have made it easy and no expense to you. Tone, hello, Tone. How's it going with you? And Tone is saying hello, hello, hello. With Isa Yeshua El Messiah, and the lives of him and her. The votes have been cast by secret ballot and counted. The yeas have prevailed. Therefore, the motion carries, and the CEO is terminated effective immediately. Right? So this is exactly how it can go. Just like that. And it's done. Just like that. Right? The lives of him and her. Delegate Golden Boy, I move that we form the Reform and Governance Committee effective immediately. Is there a second? Right? And it's as simple as that inside of a General Assembly. I second. Zalika. Hello, Joseph in chat. Hello. Joseph, if you see something, say something. Absolutely. Right? Whistleblowers have legal protections. Yes. That is the worst thing that you can do is mess with a whistleblower. And you will be shown what they mean when they say retaliate if you want to. Right? So I can give you all stories about what happens to people that retaliate against a whistleblower and then the law comes after them. You don't want to be on the receiving end of that stick. Zalika, I'm late. So have your Supreme Bishop been removed? No, just Bishop. We only have one bishop. Again, Zalika's from another organization. They have multiple bishops, and they have a Supreme Bishop over all of their other bishops. And this is why the title. And they have similar things like the House of Prayer. But that said, I'm late, so have your Supreme Bishop. No, he's still bishop right now, currently. Currently he's still bishop. Golden Boy says, no, not yet, LOL. They'll tell me why. Okay, trying to understand your organization and the situation at hand. Again, we've had this conversation, Zalika and I. And Zalika, we have moderators that's taking care of the chat for me on the channel. And so that you all understand, like I said, Zalika and her brother is in another organization, very, very much similar, like the House of Prayer. I think it's even worse, though. It's bad. We got stuff that's, but over there, oh my goodness. So we're going to be talking about this in the future. But sorry, I was quoting the lyrics to a song. Tell me why I want it that way. B. Mevdeman, the lies of him and her. Second that vote. Next. Zalika, please. I'm moderating for Brother Lewis tonight, and we're learning this new platform. Hope you enjoy. Joseph 11's son at Zalika. I'm moderating for Brother Lewis. Okay. Zalika, does your organization help the members financially when they need help? Absolutely not. We get nothing. You gets no love. You gets nothing here. Nothing. And again, this is why things need to be changed, because everything here is about the bishop getting everything. Whatever, the bishop. But the people and outside the organization, nothing. Now, we're not making this about, receiving or getting, but the fact of the matter is people are in need, and we're supposed to be a organization that we're supplying and helping people in need. But we're not doing anything. We're not getting anything at all. So that said, Joseph, please answer in the chat, but absolutely not. Wait, you have to fill out an application for membership? No, that was just, as I said before, an example we were using. Golden Boy, I wouldn't say that, but you do per your name on the roll. You do put your name on the roll. Not an application, but we do have individuals just add their name, age, and personal information, address, phone number. I think that's it, to the roll. Okay, thanks. Lika said, you're welcome. Oh my, that's not good. Louis, you got to say thanks, boo. Yeah, as I said, she had a headset on. and taking care of, we have a balcony garden that she's beautiful, beautiful. And it's just gorgeous. But she harvested some tonight and got a lot of, oh my gosh. And that's what she's going through. And so wearing her headset to not disturb what we were doing, but not realizing the noise from the ice maker was echoing in here. But anyway, yeah, she heard me and she's got on headset again. Boo, you hear me? Yeah, see, got the headset on. Boo boo. I'm just letting, no, you're good. You can put it back on. I'm just teasing. I'm letting them know that you got your headset on. But yeah, she's over there taking care of the harvesting. I might show you all pictures, but even with the balcony. But absolutely, thank you so much. And thank you, B. Mevderman. Any discussion? Zalika says the new supreme bishop of the religious organization that I used to belong to told the members he would take suggestions, but he's not taking orders from anyone. Well, see, that's kind, because in this organization, this bishop don't even take suggestions. He will tell you and give you suggestions that, in fact, we have recordings. Matter of fact, here, this is what we're dealing with. Here. This is him saying that he pretty much he's God on earth. Okay. Now, just last Sunday, I think, he said, I'm not God. Again, he goes back and forth. We have recordings where he's saying he is. Other recordings say he's not. Then recordings that says he is again. And matter of fact, like, here's another.
You don't understand when you don't vote in your community, you don't get attention. Even if your candidate don't win, they're looking at the voting block. Why do you think Daddy McCullough put on him a color voter slip? And some of you too lazy to go and cast a vote when people have died. And then you want to complain about how bad it is. Shut up!
Now, see, he made this, and I said before, he's very good at presenting things to make it sound like he's talking about something else, but in reality, he's really talking about something else. So he did a lot of talking about politics and certain things. When I was making videos, he's really aiming things at me, saying, sit down and shut up, complaining about things after an election was over. Because I was talking about this rigged election where he put himself in the seat. So then he talks about people not voting outside for elections, right? But we know he's not talking about outside. This is a message for me to shut up. But he can't. And he used another section of this talking about people talking in testimony service. You're not really testifying. You're just talking and talking. If you're not saying anything to edify, then sit down and shut up, right?
when something's passed, then they want to come and complain about it. When you should have been there to talk about it. Shut up.
See, I told you. I told others. But he listens to see the energy of the people. If they like it, he'll ride that wave. And he hears the commotion because he's saying, shut up. Right? And these are people who are active at that point. This was around this time last year. These are people that are active at that point because they knew that people were complaining about stuff that they were hearing on the videos about the leaders. And he's angry, just angry. And they don't understand he's talking about exposure that's showing that he's doing all kinds of wrong. But he's not talking about those things. He's talking about other things while telling people who's listening, stay offline. Don't go on social media. Don't listen to YouTube. Don't listen to TikTok. Don't. So a lot of the people didn't know anything about the videos. And he's just barking and yelling and screaming. But this is the bishop at House of Prayer. For your bishop to say, I will accept suggestions, but I'm not taking orders from anybody. Well, that's a whole lot more than what ours do. He told the whole organization, you don't like it, take your coat and hat and get out the door. Right? So, and there's all kinds of other things that he has done and said that we can mess around with. Here we see.
Help me in the time of need. So you're going to need Daddy. Help on my side. There's going to be some things that come in your life that you won't be able to get on your own. But if you allow a separation between you and Daddy, because see, we worried about you and God, but it's you and Daddy. Because Daddy is taking the place of God. Come on, somebody. They got.
See, that's what the members are hearing on a regular basis. And he knows that there's men around him feeding this stuff to the people in so-called sermons, that he's taken the place of the Father, that he is the Father on earth. Mr. Cunningham has given the impression and even said it, that he's the late model version of the Messiah. He is the Christ reincarnated. He represents the second coming. And we have these recordings. So, but it's only because the members did not understand that they have the power and the authority to go into this meeting coming up and stop all this nonsense. Because he needs the people to believe in him spiritually so that he can commit all the crimes that he's committing and steal all the money that he's stealing and deceive all the people that he's deceiving and manipulate the people that he's manipulating, along with the help of the other men who have titles of apostles and whatnot. But we now know it's all fake, all of it. And so this is an attempt to bring awareness to the members so that they can look at these things and determine, is this really what's going on? And so we're waiting for people from outside to come inside to make a determination. And just so y'all know, I had a phone call today from outside. And they're reviewing. They're looking into. Eventually, they will be done. And Mr. Cunningham gave the impression again in East Baltimore or West Baltimore. No, it was East Baltimore. He said people just talking, not doing anything is just talk. Okay, but the regulating agencies, they don't rush. They take their time. And I think that that's a blessing in disguise because it's given you time to make decisions that might turn out not so bad if you make the right decisions. But to keep going in the direction that you're going and continuing to deceive and lie and manipulate the members of the organization is not going to turn out well. And it's better for the members of the organization to fix this in the General Assembly than to let the outside come in. So anyway, that's where we are. And just so you could hear a little bit from our bishop, they used to call for ratification if the members didn't agree with the new Supreme Bishop. But the new Supreme Bishop removed the ratification process. Well, see right there, it's the same thing in here. But the members don't understand the legal proceedings. They don't understand the importance of the General Assembly. Every year, we were going to the General Assembly and just sitting there and going to sleep. He wasn't even there. And when he come in 3-4 hours late, he's there for maybe 30, 40 minutes, just saying a bunch of stuff. Anything, you know, I like candy, or going to go to the mall and we're going to see what new specials they have. I mean, literally, I'm exaggerating, but it's just to charge the whole weekend, trump it up, right? We're excited to be here. We're going to have a beautiful time, all that stuff. And that's it. No business gets done, because by keeping the people not doing any business, it allows them to continue for another year doing whatever they feel like. And this is where we are, right? But he attempts to do the same thing, to remove procedures so the members don't have the power and the authority to do anything about what he's doing. And anytime you have leaders removing powers from the people, that's your red flag that they're doing wrong. Mr. What do you believe? Most members' names are added to the roll within weeks or months of being born, right? We love this phrase at funerals. Brother Hampton's parents put his name on the house of prayer roll at birth, and he remained a faithful member until he was called home to rest, right? And that's exactly right. Mr. What do you believe? Hit nail on the head. People always, and they remain faithful until, but it's just to motivate the other members to stay put. The longer you're here, the more money we can get out of you. But when you're in need, they tell you, no, turn to him. No, don't come to us. Turn your direction to him. But when you're no longer in need and things are going good, turn to us. Turn to us. Ah, boy. Zalika says ours was called the Board of Regulation. Wow. The Board of Regulation. Okay. Wow. So each ones, they make up their own names and do their own things. And Joseph says you don't want to know the looks you'll get if you show up in pants.
That is
Huh?
yeah, that ain't happening. Anybody even thought about it? Nobody even thought about coming in pants.
Maria said that'll never have the women, they never even thought about it. You ain't not coming to the house of prayer in pants. It's just bad. But here's the thing. Hopefully the members will have had enough. Hopefully, again, by the end of tomorrow, we will see, as we're seeing tonight, with this mock assembly, just like you saw a version of an agenda, what an agenda should look like in a meeting, and with this mock assembly, and now you're seeing the orders of Robert's rules, and that everybody's equal, that the bishop is not attending the General Assembly, the CEO is. He does not come and sit up there and look down on people and bark orders and I feel good. I mean, all of that nonsense. We're at a point now, the members know what's going on. Maybe not everybody, but this is necessary. And let me say this too. We don't know how many delegates are aware of the trickery that's been taking place. We are not aware. Mr. What do you believe? Somebody teach Brother Lewis to not read his own comments. I'm reading it because I hadn't seen it. Somebody's making it for me. But we don't know how many members of the delegates are not watching. We don't know. We don't know how many are watching. We don't know how many don't understand the process. We don't know how many are not aware of the thieving, the manipulation, the embezzling. We don't know how many. There's no way of us knowing. So we don't know that they're going to go. Some are still going to go to support Mr. Cunningham. And there's literally some people, I don't care. I don't care. My job is to keep that man in his seat, right? Not understanding that your job is to hold that man accountable, and your job is to check to see if he's doing everything right or whether he's doing anything wrong. That's the job. That's the job. And if he's doing anything wrong, your job is to fix it or remove it. That's the job. You're not there as a fan of the bishop. You're there as the police officer on behalf of the government. So we tomorrow will go through a few other things to ensure that people understand just how easy it is to go into the General Assembly and fix this. So we're not going to hold nothing back. Tomorrow's it. Tomorrow's the big day, everybody. Tomorrow's the big day, everybody. So there's some things I'm going to share with you, and there's some things that I'm skittish about. I might not. I'm trying to figure out a way to put information out there on the morning of Friday. So you all help me. If there are delegates that you know, you will be there as a delegate, and you're finding this information to be mind-blowing, to know that you are the boss. You're the boss. To know that there's nothing that can happen to you, that the law's on your side, that the government has your back. And you really are sick and tired of all this bullying and the threats coming from the leaders, the council, mistreating people, and people being put out of their homes and being taken advantage of. We're talking about people living with mice and insects and rodents. And I mean, and not even to mention what's going on with the children and the women that we haven't even gotten into yet. We've just skimmed the surface. We've had in the last few days now, to the individual who was asking me about this, we've had in the last few days 2 individuals that the report goes that they took their own selves away from this world. And there's a lot of questions about this, especially the timing. And for one of them to be a child and the other one to be an adult who's also a council member that carries the title of an apostle. A lot of people don't know how to take this. And the problem is, for many people, that this subject has been suppressed. It's being hushed. And no one wants to talk about it because there's certain things and signals being given to people. But our members should not be under a rock. Our members should not feel like you literally are under a bunch of demands and you don't have freedom. You don't have liberty. You can't live your own life and make your own decisions. That's not what soul salvation is about. And if you have leaders and they're making demands of you and you can't live a life of happiness and freedom and liberty to make your own choices and decisions and do anything without getting phone calls, without getting looks, without getting sneers, without being threatened, without the leaders putting their hands in a position to try to stifle you or to shut you down or embarrass you or humiliate you. That's not what the gospel is about. And so people are over it because it's suffocating to be in an organization like this, where whatever you do, I give you permissions and you ask me if you can breathe. That's what it feels like. But who made you the creator? Exodus 34:14, he said he's jealous. And you are putting demands on the people that the people have been brought out from under. If the people are supposed to be believing in the one who said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light, well, who are you to put your foot on the necks of individuals that you call believers? You're putting yourself at odds with the one who said, if you harm the least of mine. So with all of that said, this is a very real subject. And if people are at that point where they're talking about, thinking about, or trying to do anything to bring harm to themselves, we have a subject that this whole organization needs to be discussing. Because this is not the first time. And over the years, we've seen several others in here do things like this that left nothing but questions. But it's a subject that is not being entertained, not being discussed, not being talked about, not being pointed out, not being elevated or exalted for us to see what we can do to fix it. While all these individuals claiming to be the representation of the creator with all these problems around him and nothing getting better, things are nothing but worse and always constantly and consistently getting worse and worse and worse. At some point, we need to talk about it or we need to fix it. The easiest, fastest, simplest way is to deal with it by getting rid of it. And all of those individuals that have been managing and doing things to keep people suppressed and keep secrets and take people's authority and their rights and keep them ignorant of authorities and rights. You just heard Mr. Cunningham talk about if you don't vote, then you should sit down and shut up. Well, the time to vote is coming up on Friday. And you just heard from Mr. Cunningham, you need to exercise your right to vote. And every member that's in that assembly needs to exercise their right to vote whether or not you're okay with this type of behavior, this narcissistic, overbearing, ridiculous, childlike behavior. If you're okay with it, well, that's a problem. But if you're not okay with it, the law says you can fix it. And whether you fix it or not this Friday, the law is waiting to come in here to discover all of the problems, all of the activities going on, and they will fix it. But it's an issue as to whether or not the members will have anything to deal with or take care of after they fix it. And that's what the members really don't understand right now. So I'm done. I think that was the last comment. Zalika says, in the organization I left, the children that were no longer on the bottle or breastfeed received what they call bounty money and consecrated to the organization. Wow. See, again, it's things like this that our members are not aware of that's going on out there that sound just like some of the stuff going on in here. And when we hear things like that, we say, wow, that's crazy. But we're doing it too. When people see us literally struggling to break our neck, to work 2 and 3 different jobs to try to raise $2,000 every time the bishop comes, and he's literally looking for 500, 1,000 people that have $2,000 a piece, and tell, if you have it, I will put an extra $500 credit on your name. You're not doing anything. That's nothing. You just write on a piece of paper, secretary put $500 down, you write $500. It's not doing anything. You want to help the people, tell them stop giving money in there. Take care of your bills. In fact, like I said before, the other person that was asking me a question, well, what would be the difference? What would it be like if you moved them? And I don't know. It depends on who's there. Well, what if it was you? And I've said this before. G class would immediately be canceled. Convocation canceled. The pictures, all this with the chairs and these worshiping of men, all that stuff, gone. Period. Point blank. And we would be doing things according to that scripture, not holding people down and oppressed. Rents would be gone. That's the property of the peoples that came from their money building it. It's exploitation to put people in property that you use their money to build or to buy and then rent to them and not maintain it. Inspections would come in here immediately to inspect every single one of these buildings, moving people out at the cost of the organization, putting them in temporary housing, furnished at that, and while all of this stuff get fixed. Senior citizens walking up and down steps, not even handicapped accessible. All this stuff is ridiculous. There's a list of so many things that the members have no idea. You are being kept under oppression by lying to get you to love the leader who's oppressing you. Look at the lifestyle of Miss Madison. What has she done for anybody? That's your picture of the leadership. To take and take and take and do nothing. She actually said in Virginia, don't bother the bishops if you need something. There's places out here that you can go and ask them for help. Anyway, it's 12:43. Thank you for your time. Our organization won't give you a 50-cent piece. Right. Unaliving is an unfortunate phenomenon we're seeing far too often. Right. I mean, it's been going on here for it wasn't much. The girls received $5 more than the male children. Wow. Zalika says, oh, believe me, they do the same thing as far as the money. Some members were homeless and cars repossessed because they gave their money to the organization instead of paying their living expenses. And this is exactly what it is we're talking about with the Members House of Prayer. This is going on in other places too. And the people can stop this. We can stop this. We've seen people give, and 70 senior citizens being put out. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but we're going to go over tomorrow some things to finalize this and fix this. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. And with that said, we will see you all in the next video. Thank you, everyone. Take care.